everybody, this is Jerry Scalato, and this is episode number 8 of Thrive TV, and today I'm all by myself. I'm not totally by myself. Sharon's in the office working on the computer, so she's hanging out, but she's not with us today, sadly enough. And then Trev will be with us again next week, talking about more nutrition, giving more awesome nutrition tips. So today we're going to talk about the hinge movement. Within fitness, let me rephrase that. There are 6 basic human movements: push, pull, hinge, squat, carry, and then everything else. So far we've covered 2 of those, sort of. Last week we went over groundwork with Sharon, and that goes into everything else category. Groundwork is extremely important. We've gone over loaded carries also. Push, pull, hinge, squat, carry. So we've gone over loaded carries. Today we're going to go over hinge. We'll go over push, pull, and squat eventually as well. So we've gone over groundwork with Sharon last week. We went over loaded carries a couple weeks ago. And today we're going to go over the hinge. 6 basic human movements. When I say basic human movements, these are the things that you do on a regular basis within your life, or should be doing on a regular basis within your life, and should train likewise. So the hinge movement. There are 2 exercises in particular that we're going to go over today. A couple of ways to do one of them, only one way to do the other one. So we're going to go over the deadlift and we're going to go over the swing. Those are the 2 important bang for your buck hinge movements that we're going to go over that you need to be doing in your training on a regular basis. So with the deadlift, that's the one that can be more variable than with the kettlebell swing. With the kettlebell swing, you use a kettlebell. So there's only one piece of equipment that you can use to do it. You can use a dumbbell, but it's a little awkward to carry, a little awkward to hold. So we're just going to go over the kettlebell because I'm not going to put anybody into the position to hold a dumbbell and then it goes flying and shattering in mirrors or something like that. So with the deadlift, there are a couple of ways to do it. You can hold a kettlebell, you can hold a dumbbell, you can use a trap bar, or you can use a barbell. We're going to go over kettlebell, dumbbell, and trap bar today because those are the ones that we believe are the barbell is the king. Okay, barbell deadlift is king. It is bang for your buck, awesome, but you have to be able to really nail the pattern to be able to, number one, not hurt yourself, and then get what you're supposed to get out of it. What you see with a lot of barbell deadlifting is this look, right? Rounded back. Okay, you see this look. So people are pulling, and you see this going on. Not good. Not good for this thing down here. So anyway, before I get ahead of myself, let's go over the hinge movement in general. So we call it a hinge because what you're doing is hinging at your hips. A lot of people confuse deadlift and squat. They don't confuse them, they just put them together. They think you tell them deadlift, you tell them pick this up off the ground, and they automatically squat. So, for instance, if I was trying to teach someone how to kettlebell deadlift, not 8 times out of 10, they would automatically go like this, okay? And this is simply just a squat, but I'm picking something up off the ground. That is not a hinge, that is not a deadlift. When you hinge at your hips. You have to think door hinge. So a door hinge opens and closes like this, okay? There's not a lot of movement. There's no movement in the door or in the wall. It hinges and opens and closes. So you think hinge at your hips because your hips have to open and close. You open and close through your hips, okay? You passively move through your knees. You don't actively move through your knees. When you squat like this. When you hinge like this. And all the power and strength in a deadlift or in a swing should be coming through your butt, through your hips, not through your quads, which when you actively move through your knees, you're moving through your quads. So that's the important thing here when you're talking about a hinge is moving through your hips, hinging through your hips. and not squatting with your knees. Also understanding that your knees should not be locked out. So there are straight leg deadlifts. I'm sure everyone's seen somebody do them at some point, where you hold a barbell and your legs are straight and you're hinging at your hips, but you're not getting a whole lot of movement in your knees. It's not that either. To do it correctly, you have to allow your knees to move, but not move your knees. Is that contradictory? Yes. However, allow your knees to move, but don't move your knees. Moving my knees, allowing my knees to move, okay? You have to allow them to move, but not move your knees. So, let's go over deadlifts first. We're gonna do our kettlebell, dumbbell, and our trap bar. We use trap bar here mostly. There are maybe a couple of clients that do barbell, probably not even a couple. Again, you have to be able to really nail it in order to get the most out of barbell and not hurt yourself. We'll go over why we use trap bar in a second when we get there. So, with a kettlebell, what you want to do is make sure the weight is right underneath of you, okay? Your feet are hip width apart, and your core is nice and tight. You want to make sure that your rib cage at the top is not open. Your core is nice and tight, all right? So we're going to hinge at our hips. We're going to hinge at our hips, drop our hands down, and grab our kettlebell, okay? So we'll drive to the ground, bring our hips through, and again, make sure our rib cage is not opening up. We want to make sure that we're staying down, and our rib cage is tight, our core is tight, and our glutes are tight at the top. Drive the butt back, tap the weight, drive through, hips all the way through. Very simple. Straight line up and down, hinging at your hips. The pattern's going to be the same for all of these, so I'm just going to go through how to hold the dumbbell and then go over the trap bar a little bit. With the dumbbell, the difference is the kettlebell, you can hold the handle like so. The dumbbell, you have to scoop underneath like so. Scoop underneath, okay? The pattern is still the same. You're still hinging at the hips, back's still flat, ribs are still engaged and down, core's still tight, but you're just holding it differently. The last one is the trap bar, and here's why we use the trap bar instead of barbell here for most of our clients. When you climb in and you look at the weight distribution, the weight is right around you, okay? With a barbell, when you bend over to pick a barbell up, it's out in front of you like this. So you have a much more tendency to see this with a barbell because you're trying to keep the weight close to you and keep it out in front of you. With a trap bar, the weight is around you, okay? So there's not as much anterior pull on you to pull you down, all right? That's why we use a trap bar instead of a barbell, because it is significantly safer. So make sure that the weight's lined up around you, back's nice and flat, good hinge in your hips, driving through, keeping your rib cage down, all right? So that's the deadlift. Everyone should have deadlift in their workout at some point, somewhere in their workout, probably even a couple days a week, definitely at least one day a week. Great strength building exercise, not something that you want to do a ton of reps of. At the very most 10 reps, probably at the most 8. Again, it's a strength building exercise, it's something you want to stick around 6 or so. Okay, so don't get a ton of reps in there, because with deadlift, because it's a strength building exercise and a compound movement, your nervous system is getting taxed. So therefore, if you do a lot of them, higher likelihood of you getting hurt, because higher likelihood that your form is going to be bad eventually. So that's the deadlift. We're going to go over the swing right now, and the swing is a man or woman. So we do tons of swings around here. You can ask Sharon or anybody else. We do tons of swings. Swings are one thing that you can do more of than deadlifts, and something that you should do very often as well. We do them at least a couple days a week with each client, and you can do sets of 20, 25 with swings. Swings are something great that if you can nail it and you can get it correct, then you can get a great cardio workout out of swings if you group it with other things. So we're gonna go over the setup first, all right? And then we'll go through a little bit more after that. So with swings, there's a little more to the setup than just standing over, feet hip width apart, and picking the weight up and down, okay? So we already understand hinge and getting into a hinge. With the swing, however, we have to set up the weight. So we want to make sure we're a couple feet away from the weight so that when we get going, okay, we can get, the weight gets the momentum going, all right? We want to be able to swing the weight. If I stand right over it, then I have to get the momentum going, and I have a lot higher likelihood of hurting myself. So if I stand back from the weight, then I can reach out and grab it, and the momentum gets the weight going, okay? I don't have to stand right over it and get the weight going myself. How many times can I repeat myself? So we want to be a couple feet away from the weight, feet width apart, same stance as your deadlift. Core's tight, rib cage down, get to your hinge position, reach out. Okay, from here, once we go to get started, the first thing you're going to do is snap the ball. Okay, think of a football center. Football center's in this position, ball's here, they're snapping the ball. We have two hands on our kettlebell, and we're snapping our kettlebell. Okay, so back flat, core tight, hinge position, here, snap, up. Okay, reset and work it a couple times. So I'm going to go through 3 of those, and then I'll walk you through it after that. So here, hinge, snap, boom, reset, snap, boom, reset, snap, boom, reset. So notice at the top of my swing, I'm not coming very high. I'm not all the way up here. The reason you don't want to be up here is 9 times out of 10, if you come up too high, you get too much extension in your back, which leads to compression in your lumbar spine, which leads to pain, which is no fun. So you have to be able to use, Sharon used this the other day, which was awesome. You have to be able to use your core as a brake. So when you get to the top of your swing, you have to be able to stop the weight, okay? And not let it travel up. It shouldn't just like glide up to your chin. You should be able to stop it at your sternum at the highest, okay? And then attack your zipper. That's from Dan John, totally from Dan John. I love that line as well. Attack your zipper. So when you come back down, all right, if you start to bail your hips too quick, again, that weight is way far away from you, so it's putting tons of pressure on your low back. If that weight's traveling below your knees, all kinds of pressure on your low back pulling you this way, away. Attack your zipper and then bail, okay? So once that weight's, you stop the weight, attack your zipper with the weight, bail the hips, and then come back up. It should be very quick snap. It should not be methodical, slow, nothing like that. Very quick, okay? I'm gonna go through 5 real quick. I like to chew on my chain when I swing because if I don't, it smacks me in my face. Okay? So, swings, like I said, those, work on those bad boys because they're awesome. That's something you can do a couple times a week. Deadlifts, the hinge position is something that everyone should do that no one does enough of because everyone wants to squat and do leg extensions and leg press. That's all the dominant quad stuff. And that's all stuff that's, it's good, don't get me wrong, especially squats. However, when you're only working on the front part of your body, the back part's getting neglected, and that's when you get saggy butts and not working hamstrings, and that's not good either. So we want hinge movements in the workout. Sorry, I'm getting a little workout in here and trying to catch my breath at the same time. So, with the deadlifts, it's something you want to do at the beginning of your workout because it is high intensity, because of the high intensity on your nervous system. Like I said, at the most 10 reps, do about 3 to 5 sets. At the most 10 reps, if you're trying to build strength, around 5. Stay in the 6 to 8 rep range if you can, okay? Especially if you're using a kettlebell or a dumbbell, that 6 rep range is gonna be great. When you start getting the trap bar and stuff like that, stay more 6, 5, 4-ish, something around there. With the swing, that can be a warm up in the beginning to get you going, or that can be cardio at the end if you can nail it, because it's not quite as high intensity, it's not heavy weight, but it's not high nervous system because it's heavy weight. It's high nervous system because, you know, if you do 20 swings, that's really tiring, but it's not, you're not swinging 150 pounds. You know, this is a 44-pound kettlebell. Most people will probably be around 26 pounds or 12 kilograms. So with the swings, you can stick them before, stick them after. Here's how we do it. We start with the weight. Say we start with 20 kilograms, do that for sets of 10 for 2 weeks. The next 2 weeks, do 12, next 2 weeks, do 14, next 2, 16, next 2, 18, next 2, 20, and then start it over with a heavier weight, okay? So over a couple of months, you're building up to 20 reps, and then you're starting over and heavier weight. Like I said, you can do that in the beginning of your workout, or you can do that at the end of your workout. If you want to do it for cardio, only if you can nail the swing, only if you can nail the pattern. If you want to do it for cardio, superset that bad boy with push-ups and you will be tired. Do 20 swings, drop down and do 10 push-ups. Do that for 3 sets. Add a set each week until you get to 6. Trust me, it'll be good stuff. So, if you guys have any questions, you can hit us up on Twitter at The Thrive Pack. We're on Facebook as well. Other than that, I think that's it, you guys. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. Do, 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 do.